Something else getting toasty. It's political season. Absentee ballots sent out. Early voting has begun. Election day less than 2 weeks away. If you're watching any TV, you've been bombarded by all those ads, especially those Meg Whitman ads. But which are true, which are just misleading? Here with an election reality check, political analyst John Dadian, president of Dadian and Associates. John, good to see you.
Good morning.
And the debut of our new Vote 2010 look.
Gotta
love that as well. Okay, big race, making most attention, the governor's race. What's the latest on that? We've got new fundraising numbers out, right?
Well, now it's official. It's actually busted the $100 million mark. They're way over that. Yeah, the reports just came out Thursday. Meg Whitman is up to $80 million, and Steve Poison is up to about $24 million, and this is just the primary.
And how much per day?
Oh, it's the last 60 days, just the last 2 months, Meg Whitman has spent $512,000, over $500,000 per day.
So where's that race at?
Conflicting polls. There was one poll that showed them neck and neck, and then about a week later, Whitman came out with their poll saying that, no, we still got our pretty substantial lead. I think it's going to be close. It's a Republican primary. It's been hotly contested. And as you said, there's so many mailers, and they're conflicting. For example, on the immigration issue, if you read it, they say the exact opposite things.
So what's the reality?
The reality is it's going to be very close on election night, and at $80 million right now in the primary, if Meg Whitman is a nominee, she has said that she'll spend up to $150 million total. So she's going to double that for the general. As
you would say, $1 million here, $1 million there. That's some serious
Funny
cash.
how that works.
All right. Proposition 14 is about the open primary system. Essentially, that would change the way that we pick our candidates and significantly affect the way that politics is done in California.
Great. They got very smart. They had an open primary on the ballot a few years ago, but that really wasn't a true open primary because it still would have been party nominees. This would be Sandiegans more than any other part of the state are familiar because the way we run our local elections, it's the top two people are the ones that go on to a runoff if nobody gets over 50%. So it doesn't matter the party. It could be two Republicans, two Democrats. Right now, with our gerrymandered districts, a lot of the races realistically are over in the primary. So the argument is this won't make it over in the primary. It'll give people a choice. And a lot of people say more moderates will be elected.
Instead of being just who can be more Democratic or who can be more Republican, then they would have to face off against each other and maybe be more towards the center. But then you said in Louisiana it didn't work all that well.
They had the system in Louisiana, it didn't work. The big losers, if this passes, clearly are the parties because they're the main ones that are opposing it. Interesting, what a lot of people don't realize, I think the big losers will be there's a total of 6 recognized parties in California. The minority parties, such as the Green Party, etc., they'll be the big losers because they really will be shut out of the system.
On to another proposition, Prop 16. We keep hearing about the Taxpayers' Right to Vote Act, which is an energy proposition, essentially. But it's right to vote if majority opinion isn't meaning right to vote that way, right?
A lot of political pundits and analysts all over the state have said that in the history of California politics, this is the most deceptive campaign ever run, and I think that's accurate. It's a utility up in Northern California that self-funded this, and they have the people saying democracy. What they don't tell you is we already have the right to vote on that, and that's your governments can do it. This will take it. This actually will hurt the right of the people to vote.
Because it moves it from 50% to 2/3, so it actually, in some ways, taking away the right to vote.
Realistic day, that's almost impossible in today's political climate.
All right, well, speaking of right to vote and right to run, Proposition B, which is something that the entire county of San Diego is voting on, has to do with the Board of Supervisors and how long they can be on the board.
That's correct. Right now, there's no limits for the Board of Supervisors. And, again, regionally, that's one of the few offices. City, San Diego has term limits. Our legislative races have term limits. This would make it 2 4-year terms, so maximum of 8 years. Realistically, it wouldn't affect this particular board because most of them probably won't be on there for another 8 to 10 years.
And this board's been together a long time.
15 years, and that's one of the main arguments by the proponents is that it's time for a change. And, of course, the main argument against that is people have the right to term limits at every election. They can vote them out at any time. I point out that for the 2 incumbents that are up this time, the 2 supervisors, there's several candidates, credible candidates running against them. So the argument that it dissuades challengers, it just doesn't hold water.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. There are big things that you're looking to happen in the next week.
Oh, again, everybody, what they're trying to do is what we call get out the vote. You'll see the volunteers on the freeway waving their signs. You'll see a lot of what we call robocalls being made. You do two things in the last week. You secure your base, you make sure your voters get out, and then you try to get that undecided. In several of the races that you and I have talked about, real hot ones, governor's race, of course, but including locally the sheriff, that's probably the hottest race. And I mentioned two supervisors. There's still quite a bit of undecided vote. Everybody's targeting those in the last 7 days.
It'll be interesting to see how many people actually turn out to vote. We're expecting about 45% or so of the county.
I think that's optimistic. This is, again, is off your primary. I think it's going to be a low turnout.
All right. Well, thank you very much, John. Great to see you. We will see you on election night as well. For complete coverage, you can log on to our website. We now have a special tab on the left-hand corner that says Vote 2010. You can see all of our election stories right there and look for more coming up between now and Election Day.